This is going to be section 242, and we're going to look at radical equations. So we're going to solve basic radical equations in this lesson. So the strategy behind solving a square root or a root is by squaring it. Now likewise, if it was a cube root, you would cube it. If it was a fourth root, you would do it to the fourth power, and so on and so forth. Now the important piece here, though, is we need to isolate the root. Meaning, if there's anything around that root, you have to get rid of it first. So in this instance, this says 2 times the square root of x plus 2. So the opposite of multiplication, or the inverse of multiplication, would be dividing. So divide by 2. And now the square root is by itself. So once that square root is by itself, now you can get rid of the square root by doing its inverse operation by squaring both sides. Now when you do that, the square root and the square will cancel out. And then on the other side, 2 squared is going to equal 4. And so subtract 2 on both sides, and you get x equals 2. Now you can plug it back in to verify it. 2 times the square root of 2 plus 2, does that equal 4? 2 times the square root of 4, square root of 4 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. Yes, it equals 4. Yay! Let's look at another one. Again, we need to isolate the square root. So we're going to subtract 6 on both sides. We're going to divide both sides by 3. And now that it's by itself, we're going to square both sides. And so I get x minus 1 equals 64. Add 1 on both sides, I get 65. Now let's check our solution. If I plug this back in, 3 times the square root of 65 plus 1, we know that that's the square root of 64, and I still have that plus 6. Square root of 64 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 6 does not equal negative 18. That's weird. One thing that you're going to start seeing that we need to be very careful of is we call them extraneous solutions. And that is solutions that we can find algebraically, but they don't actually exist due to certain domain restrictions. So what did we learn today? We talked about how to solve square root equations. We do that by isolating the root, and then you can get rid of it by squaring both sides. And then we also talked about extraneous solutions. These are solutions that you can get by solving algebraically, but when you plug it back in, they don't work. And so therefore you have to reject the solution. This does conclude our lesson. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments.